guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're sharing with you Amtrak coach seats to avoid. All right, so if you're going to be riding in Amtrak in coach seats, it is very important and integral to how much you like your ride, what type of seat you're in, right?
Yeah, you do not want to get some of the poor seats on Amtrak. They're not all the same. So we're going to break down all the bad seats for you, the ones to avoid. And starting off, first one's probably obvious. Most of you can guess, near the bathrooms. You do not want to be sitting near the coach class seats near the bathrooms for several reasons. First of all, if there is going to be an odor, it's going to emanate from those bathrooms, and there generally is an odor on Amtrak trains near the bathrooms, so you definitely don't want to sit there. It won't start out that way, but as the trip goes on, it could start to get that way.
Especially if you're doing like an overnight trip.
If you're doing overnight or 2 nights.
It gets much worse.
Yeah, but the other reason is it's going to be louder near the bathrooms, and they're opening and closing the doors, people getting up, people are going to be walking by you all night just to get to the bathroom, flushing the toilet is going to be loud. So all of those things are going to combine to make those one of the worst seats on the train.
Yeah, they're definitely, especially if you're doing an overnight trip, that's definitely the worst place to sit for all of those reasons. You're not going to get any rest with people coming in and out of the bathroom. It's almost impossible to shut the bathroom doors also without making noise. So that door opening and closing all night with a train car full of people using it is going to be a very unrestful sleep for you.
Yeah, the next one is going to be near the vestibule doors, which is basically where you change train cars. And people will be changing train cars, getting on and off throughout the night, going to the observation car if they want to do so. And those doors open, they kind of have to hit the button. It's kind of loud. The door will fly open, and it's going to rattle and kind of clank. And that'll wake you up or keep you up if you're sitting really close to those.
Yeah, and you're also going to hear all of the noise from in between the train cars. That door is basically what's keeping it quieter inside your train car. Once that door opens, not only do you get the rattling of the door and all that kind of stuff, but you're also going to hear all of the noise, and it's pretty loud in the vestibule because it's basically like being outside with a thin curtain. So it's pretty loud right there.
Not to mention sometimes you can get a bathroom near that, so that would be a double bad place to be. You want to avoid that if all possible.
Yeah, and you know, people are generally tempted to be near the vestibule doors because a lot of the time that's like the front row, and so you have a little bit of like a bulkhead type area. There's never seats in front, so it's just the wall and then the seats, and you have a little bit more leg room than the rest of them. But the thing is that if you're okay with, you know, an immense amount of noise, and it is pretty loud, then you could do that. But for the most part, all of the coach seats anyways have great leg room, right?
Yeah.
So that's not really something that you have to worry about. It's not like on an airplane where I would choose the bulkhead seats over the regular seats because I have a little bit more space.
All right, this next one is going to be on the overnight double-decker trains, and that is downstairs if you can avoid it.
Absolutely. And downstairs it has several problems. Again, they usually try to reserve these seats for those who will need them, like accessible seats, those with mobility issues, or those who, you know, just think that it's going to be challenging to get up and down the stairs because they have all of the services for the most part down there. They try to save those for that, but sometimes there are open seats down there, and if you choose one down there, just because that's where you think you want to sit, you're making a mistake by doing that, because one of the things that you don't realize right out of the gate is that you're going to have the views aren't going to be anywhere near as nice if you're down there, right?
Yeah, you won't be able to see over the tree line for the most part. There's generally trees lining a lot of the route on both sides of the train, and you'll be looking right into trees, whereas if you're upstairs, in some of the places you'll see trees, but in some of the places you'll be able to see over the trees, and you will have a lot better view of everything that's happening around you. Another reason to avoid being downstairs is that there is no pass-through on the downstairs level. So if you want to go to the observation car, go to the cafe to get some food, you have to go upstairs anyway and then pass through on the upper level. So you really don't save anything by being downstairs, other than you can get off the train marginally quicker, but that's not really that big of a deal.
No.
And basically everyone that's getting on the train is going to get on downstairs also.
Right, and so basically, if you don't need to be downstairs, then definitely choose a seat upstairs.
All right, next one is going to be, do you want window or aisle? Because the seats are arranged 2 by 2, so 2 seats, then the aisle, then 2 more seats. And without a doubt, you do not want to be in the aisle. You want to be next to the window for a whole host of reasons.
So many reasons. Let me start with a couple of them right out of the gate here. The first one is that the electrical outlets are both on your side, and although you're supposed to share one with the person in the aisle, for the most part, the person in the aisle is going to avoid having to mess around with climbing over you to plug their electrical item in. And then the next thing is the trains do a lot of rocking and rolling, moving around, so people use the seats to steady themselves. And if you're sleeping on the train in a coach seat, people are going to be grabbing those aisle seats. They're not going to be grabbing those window seats.
Yeah, there's not a lot more annoying than being asleep and then having like 4 people walk by you and push down on your seat to get to the next seat, and you're like, what are you doing? But that just happens, and I understand it because there is not very good footing on the train. But if you're in the aisle, it's going to be a little tough to sleep because of that. So the other thing is, if you're in the aisle, the person by the window, when they want to get up and go to the bathroom, there's a lot more room than on a plane, so they necessarily won't knock into you, but they might, depending on how agile they are to get around you. But that's just another reason, and so we just avoid the aisle. If there's 2 of us together, we would still rather sit together, so one of us does take the aisle, than both sit on a window. But for the most part, if you're by yourself, definitely take the window seat.
Absolutely. All right, so the next one is not sitting near the stairwell if you're on a double-decker, or sitting near the luggage rack. The luggage rack obviously is going to be a noisy area of congregation because people getting off the train are going to be chatting about their luggage and getting their luggage, and they're usually metal racks, and even though they have sometimes a little bit of a carpeted area, the bags are still going to bang up against the metal edges and racks. And then also people getting on the train trying to carry their bags and talking to each other, so that's going to be a loud area. And a lot of times the luggage racks are close to the stairwell, and the stairwells so that's why you want to avoid also the area around the stairwells for your seat, because people are generally talking to each other, walking up and down the stairs, and just generally making a little bit of noise.
Yeah, so the next one, and this is going to be one that's a little counterintuitive, is to avoid sitting in a completely empty area. The way that it works on Amtrak is if you sit in an empty area with no one around you, you're going to be like that for a little while, but eventually you're going to get to a stop, and the reason that area was empty was because they basically weren't putting people on the train in that car, but eventually they are. And if you're asleep when they do that, you're going to be like 2 a.m., you're sleeping, everything is empty around you, and you're just going to get woke up because 15 people are going to sit and try to get situated around you in the middle of the night, and they're going to wake you up. So definitely check the Amtrak website before your trip, or the app, and see how full that train is. If it's anywhere near full, just assume that eventually all those seats will be filled, and you're much better off picking your kind of roommates or your area mates
Seatmate.
ahead of time, and just find an area that's not got one of these other problems where there's people in it that seem like they're going to be quiet maybe for the night. Maybe they're using headphones. That's a good sign already. And just sit around them, because when it's time to go to sleep, they're going to go to sleep with you. And then once that car is full, they won't really be getting a lot of new people in there. And so you won't have people getting on and off at 3 a.m. They'll just already all be situated. So when you find that completely empty area, it looks good at first, but then in the middle of the night you realize I have made a big mistake.
Exactly. It's once you're in a train car that's fairly full and they stop bringing people in, the nice thing is it's only people getting off for the most part, and people are generally much quieter getting off the train than they are getting on the train.
Yeah. Plus, it gives you a little time to kind of look around and see, all right, these people are pretty good. I can spend the night with them around me. And if you find that there's some people there that you don't really want to spend the night near, you got time to move still before the rest of the train is full. So if you get one that's completely by yourself, then it fills up last. By the time you realize you're around people you don't want to be around, the rest of the train is already going to be full. So that's just the way we do it, kind of strategically, to get the best ride on Amtrak.
Absolutely. Guys, hopefully this is helpful to you as you're choosing your seat. And also note that a lot of the times you are just choosing your own seat. It's very rare to have them go ahead and assign a seat to you, only on certain trains in certain instances. So for the most part, you are just choosing your seat. That's why this is helpful for you, so you know which seats to avoid when you're choosing. If you have any more questions about choosing your coach seat, leave those down in the comments. Guys, we'll see you next time.